Hey everybody, welcome back to Starfyre Gaming. I am Sir Joseph and this is Warhammer 40k Rouge Trader. We are on Dargonus, which is our capital world. We have a quest with Jay to go to the Administratum, which is another place on this planet. And we need to talk to Achilles, as well as everybody else. So we are going to go ahead and head on into Palace. All right. So there's some loot down there. We've got Cassia, Alderud, Henrik. Okay, we just got our characters, or not our characters, but our party folks. Oh. Welcome, your lordship. Let me inform you the locations of the chamber on your dynastic estate. The main throne room is up the stairs and straight ahead. Your subject, Achilles Scanler, informed me that he humbly awaits the opportunity to meet with you there. If your lordship wishes to rest after a long journey, then your personal chambers are up to the stairs and to the right. If you need anything, whatever your soul desires, I'll be right next to your chambers, eagerly awaiting your orders. All right. This good's right down there. Be the door to our bedroom, since that's what he's pointed to, and that's where he's at. According to descriptions on the statue, this was a gift from House Gaprix to the Von Valencius dynasty. Loot back there. There is Clementia. Don't want to pass up on loot. Aristocrats. There's Achilles. The slender figure, clad in robes, made from expensive fabric, shudders from violent coughings. Pressing a gilded respirator to his face, the man takes several deep breaths. Achilles, it's been many moons. I hope your cousin is feeling well. Achilles covers his burnt lips, trying and failing to suppress a coughing fit. She is in good health. She sends her regards to you, as well as her wishes for your swift return. Heinrich frowns. For as long as the stars shine in the sky, my vigil continues. So it does. Achilles thumps himself on the chest with his augmented hand. You hear the clanging of metal against metal. I'm not so foolish as to fail to notice a conversation in code. Your insight deserves credit, Rogue Trader. Then again, I expected nothing less from Theodora von Valancius' successor. Heinrich looks at Achilles. Allow me to introduce Achilles Scalander properly. In addition to his duties as Secretary of the Administratum, he acts as an agent of the Golden Throne under my aegis. Master Scalander was transferred into my remit by a colleague who is engaged in other matters in the Coronis Expanse. I'm sure you will find Achilles' service useful, especially when dealing with the schemes of humanity's foes within the borders of your protectorate. Greetings, Lord Ignatius von Valancius. Allow me once again to express my deepest condolences on the loss of Lady Theodora. I will do everything I can to track down and destroy all of Kunrad Voitvier's accomplices on the capital world. Excuse me. Do you know anything about what has become of Kunrad Voitvier? The former master whispers it's a heretic and a traitor to the dynasty. Achilles nods grimly. Word of his treason reached Dargonus too late. Kunrad came to the planet and left it almost immediately. Once he had sown discord in the minds of the gullible and naive. The worst of the rumors he started was that you were the one responsible for Lady Theodora's sudden demise. Of course, your loyal subjects did their best to skin alive any who showed signs of doubt. But it seems unlikely that the wardens got to everyone who has allowed doubt into their heart and now nurtures it in secret. You promised me a report on the present state of affairs in the Protectorate. I've already forwarded all official reports to your Seneschal. As for the conversation we're having right now, I wouldn't trust any paper or data slate with its contents. You see, Lady Theodora, may the Emperor have mercy on her souls, was perfectly aware of Dargonus' political environment. You, however, have only just arrived on the capital world, and I thought it would be best to bring you up to speed. Frankly, the nobles of Dargonus, much like nobles on most worlds, are akin to spiders in a jar, ready to pounce on whoever is the weakest, or whomever they deem to be the weakest. The nobles of Dargonus are well-respected, rich, and powerful individuals who held Lady Theodora's favor for many years and found ways to rise above the rest by diligently serving the Rogue Trader. Every family pursues its own selfish interests, and each one expects that with the transition of power, they will retain and even add to their lands and wealth. The families I would recommend giving particular attention to are the drive stems, the gap racks, and the sourbacks. I should also mention the Worserians, not a noble house per se, but a family that was part of Lady Theodora's inner circle, to the Blue Bloods' great displeasure. Tell me about the drive stems. The drive stems are the ancient governor house of Dargonus. Predictably, the greater the wealth of the von Valancius Protectorate, the fuller their coffers grow. Their reputation is flawless, except for one detail. We have evidence that Orbend drive stems rivals seem to have the misfortune of regularly falling victim to Xenos raids. I find that these attacks are always a little too advantageous for the drive stems, but we lack solid proof, and it might never surface. The closer an official is to a rogue trader, the braver and safer they feel. I would just like to remind everyone that rubbing shoulders with Xenos is a heresy that can be overlooked only in the case of the von Valancius heirs, not his servants. What makes the Gapraks special? The Gapraks hail from a remote forge world, and among their distant relatives there are many servants of the Omnissiah. And the house itself is close to the cult of the Adeptus Mechanicus, both in spirit and in their business connections. The Gapraks oversaw the industrial shipments within your protectorate until recently. Ever since the astropathic communication with Kiava Gamma was severed, they've been quite concerned about the security of the planet placed in their care. What can you tell me about House Sourback? Religious and hardworking, the Sourbacks own many enterprises, including distillation manufactorums that produce promethium. I must note that lately members of the Sourback family have been prone to overly liberal statements about the von Valencia's dynasty. They believe that Lady Theodora is a bit too keen to leave her worlds without proper oversight. I would like to know more about the Worsarians. The Worsarians are a line founded by Lady Theodora Seneschal, and as such are nominally considered nobility, at least from the standpoint of the Imperial Navy, from which Lord Abelard hails. On Dargonus, however, their position is precarious. Firstly, they never were granted an official title, a process which has been impeded for decades by the old houses of Dargonus. And secondly, the other families do not see them as equals, but more as upstarts clinging to the Rogue Trader's favor. The Worsarians are responsible for the capital world's fleet and the majority of cargo shipments on domestic routes. Enough about the nobles. Is there anything else you wanted to report? There was, your lordship. At this time, it concerns the main reason for my presence on this planet, Xenos, and the threat they pose both to you and to humanity as a whole. The last few months have been difficult for the people who report to me, my eyes and ears scattered throughout the Cronus expanse. Warp disturbances, astropaths overcome with madness, ships disappearing into the immaterium. Many of my observers and contacts have gone dark or have been killed by some calamity or other. Still, I managed to establish communication with some key individuals who were able to warn me about incoming threats, including Xenos raids. Achilles looks you in the eye without blinking. It is within my power to supply you with intelligence upon where and when the Xenos will strike next. I do not doubt that Governor Drivestem will beg you for protection against Xenos, and in this fight, the information from my contacts will serve you well. I beseech you, Ignatius, if I ever report a threat looming over a ship or planet, do not dismiss it. Sometimes it takes an intervention of a rogue trader and his mighty void ship to avert disaster. What are your responsibilities here on Dargonus? Officially, I am a secretary at this world's Administratum Department. Less officially, I'm afraid I can't disclose that even to you. In short, I collect and investigate reports of heresy concerning or taking root on upstanding planets of humanity. Above all else, I am concerned about the Xenos threat that hangs over the entire Cronus expanse, including your protectorate. Sadly, my mission was complicated by the recent warp disturbances. I am still trying to re-establish contact with many of my agents. Do you know anything about the cult of the Final Dawn? My knowledge is deplorably limited, your lordship. All my attention has been focused on tracking Xenos activity. I'm certain that Master von Kalox can tell you much more about those heretics than I. Tell me about Xenos. The residents of the local systems are no strangers to skirmishes with the enemies of humanity. But recently, The loathsome beasts seem to have completely flown off the handle. We've received reports from ships that made it through the warp to Dargonus. They and the colonies they have departed from are being attacked. We have identified the breed of Xenos that pose this threat, the Drukhari, humanity's ancient and insidious foes. Be vigilant on your travels. The Xenos will undoubtedly attack a Rogue Trader's ship should they find the circumstances to be in their favor. Unfortunately, in the host of humanity, there are those who are willing to grovel before the enemies in the hopes of valuable rewards. You may be interested to know that we are on the trail of such heretics. Achilles glances at his data slate. Overwhelming evidence indicates that a plundered void station in Langren's Belt is being used as a base by a band of pirates who are not above dealing with Xenos. I was unable to persuade the Chancellor of the need to dispatch a ship there, but perhaps you would like to pay a courtesy call to these scoundrels yourself. I think that's the one we just took out. Well, not just took out, but took out earlier. About your unofficial work. Achilles' eyes, amber eyes, flash with interest. Yes. Whom do you truly serve, the Rogue Trader or the interrogator of the Inquisition? And whom does the Rogue Trader serve? The Golden Throne? The Protectorate? Could it be that one stems from the other? And if so, is there any sense in discussing it? I have learned all I wanted to know. I have other questions to ask. The scars on your face. What happened? About, he coughs, 5 years ago, there was an accident. Several tanks of promethium exploded in the storehouse at my estate, and I was buried alive under the rubble. The Emperor preserved my soul, and the skilled physicians of Dargonus saved my body, except for my lungs, with which I had to part. I presume the incident was an attempt on my life, but the identity of whoever was behind it remains a mystery. I must take my leave. Achilles bows. According to the message I received a few minutes ago, Governor Drivestem has arrived at court. I imagine that the Chancellor is already prepared to arrange the meeting. All is left is to notify her that you are ready to see Urbend. Well, let's go talk to the Chancellor. Your Lordship, Clementia bows her head politely. For a Chancellor to the Rogue Trader, she is dressed rather simply. A prayed doublet, polished boots, and a comfortable cloak. She bears a saber in a gilded scabbard. Whether for show or protection, one could not say. Only her ring with the Wirasan coat of arms indicates that she is of the highest social stratum. The Governor is waiting on the periphery of the palace. Please let me know when you would like to see him. The sharp gaze, the impeccably straight back, the composure. For a moment, you feel like you're looking at a younger version of Abelard himself, not his heir. Judging by the scars on the exposed parts of her body, Clementia saw her fair share of combat prior to assuming the position of Chancellor. What are your responsibilities as Chancellor? To put it simply, I am your trade representative. Any and all decrees, deals, official communications, and meetings are first reviewed by me and then forwarded to you and from you down the hierarchy. My purview also includes overseeing your lordship's property, the palace, the estates, the many gardens, and other demises on Dargonus that you have inherited from Lady Theodora. And whenever you are present on Dargonus, consider me your personal secretary. What can you tell me about Dargonus? All deals and important decisions are made here in the capital. Many years ago, an ancestor of Lady Theodora signed an agreement with the Adeptus Administratum, which allowed for efficient management of the world and the neighboring systems. In accordance with the decree, a share of the planet's population was assigned to the Administratum and converted into servitor scribes. They now toil across the entire world. Dargonus is also the seat of several noble families who run all the major planets in the Protectorate. If I may express my not-so-humble opinion, they care very little about who exactly stands at the helm. Those pariahs think about their own profits just as much as they do about the prosperity of the Protectorate itself, if not more. And lastly, Dargonus has its own fleet, a luxury unavailable to the vast majority of other worlds in your realm. In addition to warships, the Protectorate also employs privateer ships, which are used to transport cargo between worlds. Does the capital stay in contact with other worlds in the Protectorate? Unfortunately, not at this time, your lordship. After the few representatives of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica on Dargonus went into a frenzy, some of the Psychers were tragically pacified by the respective authorities. Since then, communication within the neighboring systems has been unreliable at best. Thanks be to the Master of Mankind that you managed to find your way to the capital. The noble houses are so volatile. What sense is there in keeping them? Over the many centuries, the intricate hierarchy has formed within the ruling elite of Dargonus. The great houses do more than plunder your treasuries. It is replenished, to a large degree, thanks to their administrative work and their lands. Naturally, you can get rid of anyone whom you consider surplus to requirements, but right now, it could threaten the fragile stability that is currently holding the Protectorate together. Are there any other issues I should be aware of? Apart from the disrupted communications, Dargonus was recently raided by the enemies of humanity. However, the fleet, under the command of Captain Marthius Wessarian, triumphed over the accursed Xenos. If you ask my opinion on the matter, we have the situation completely under control. You catch her avoiding your gaze for just a moment. For the first time, it is obvious that Clementia is looking out for her house's good name. But despite the confidence in her tone, you can tell that she does not entirely believe her own words. Tell me about Governor Drivestem. Urabend Drivestem is a well-respected man, and not just on Dargonus, but throughout the Protectorate. For many centuries, his house has supported the capital's administration and the logistics between the Von Valencia systems. The Drivestem's efforts secured years of order and prosperity. The Drivestem's efforts secured years of order and prosperity for Dargonus. What's more, Lady Theodora personally insisted that Lord Urabend specifically be made the next governor. You may speak well of Drivestem. I hear a hint of either contempt or resentment. No, I don't believe I feel either, your lordship. Clementia's steely eyes stare into the distance, her jaw clenching visibly. She speaks in a polite but clipped manner, clearly flustered by your insight. We have different views on how to run a world. We sometimes have discussions over the laws that are enacted, but we both work for the good of the Von Valencia's Protectorate. That much can be said without a doubt. Thank you for the report, Chancellor. I serve the Von Valencia's Protectorate, your lordship. The governor can wait a little longer. I still have matters to take care of. Certainly, lordship. However, her thin lips twist slightly. I do not concern myself with the governor's feelings, but I must warn you. Your action or inaction may be interpreted in a certain way. Now, if your lordship will excuse me. Oh, there's a loot box. Let's go get that loot, and then we'll come back and talk to her. Ah, there it is. Alright, let's go meet the governor. Alright, tell them I am ready to see the governor. Clementia bows before leaving. I shall arrange for him to be escorted to your study. Ignatius von Valentius, 20th in his line, Rogue Trader, keeper of the sacred warrant, and the ruler of the Dargonus expanse, from the Cranach system to the 100 Dreams crossroads. I bid you welcome. Uraban Drivestem, governor of this great world. First and foremost, please accept my deepest condolences. It will be difficult to recover from the loss of a woman as great as Theodora von Valentius. It pains me to think that she is no longer with us. The citizens of Dargonus and the entire Protectorate grieve alongside you. Please allow us to declare half a year of mourning so that we can honor the memory of our beloved lady. I don't really like either one of those. Well, we'll go with the first one. Theodora von Valentius deserves more than that. You will declare a full year of mourning. I will immediately give all necessary instructions, your lordship. He casually presses a few buttons on the cogitator, built into his gold bracer. Esteemed Ignatius, Lady Theodora was a strong leader, and we ought to follow her example. Let us lean on our wisdom and preserve in spite of this tragedy together, and let us carry on where she no longer can by leading the von Valentius Protectorate to even greater prosperity. Drivestem gives you a look of admiration. It seems that he is quite aware of your fame, and this opportunity to curry favor with such an eminent figure is one he does not wish to miss. Alas, it won't be an easy task to accomplish. Some time ago, the astropaths of Dargonus flew into a rage, and they had to be subdued. We are gradually restoring our ability to speak with neighboring worlds, but the contacts are still weak, and the routes are tangled and no longer lead to the systems that the captains expect them to. Given that the vast majority of ships in the Dargonus Navy travel without relying on the services of navigators, without your engagement, the well-being of the von Valentius dynasty and billions of its subjects is presently at risk. We met a ship from Dargonus not too long ago. The crew was transporting a strange artifact and went mad during the flight. This is a truly regrettable bit of news. What's more, leaving Dargonus has been forbidden for several cycles now. It seems the Wisterian family has once again failed in their primary responsibilities. He shoots Abelard a condescending look. We will investigate this at once, as well as the fact that the ship had to acquire a permit with the Administratum seal. Does your nephew still serve the at the Administratum Palace? The governor presses a number of buttons on the cogitator built into his bracer and looks at you in surprise. I don't understand. The ship did indeed depart from orbit, but it did so, if you can believe it, on the Rogue Trader's authorization. That is why no one dared to impede its departure. Lord Captain, it would seem that Kunrad somehow got his hand on a copy of your authorization, or perhaps even the original. A tool like that in the hands of a traitor does not bode well. Kunrad Voitvir, former Master of Whispers, is a heretic and a traitor. Has he shown his face on Dargonus? The governor pensively strokes the rings glittering on his fingers. Lord Voitvir visited the capital some time ago, but he did not request a personal meeting. A heretic, you say? Now I see where all the whisperings in the corridors has come from. I shall be frank with you, your lordship. Lady Theodora's sudden death was a blow to every one of us, and the absence of any sort of verifiable and complete information about her successor gives grounds for all manner of rumors and misinterpretations, especially if someone is deliberately inciting unrest and discontent. Naturally, none would dare challenge you by accusing you of something as sacrilegious as murdering a rogue trader. However, Kunrad Voitvir was once a true born of the Protectorate back in the day, and as such, some might heed his words. Brutal. My subject's doubts are understandable. Too many things have changed in too short a span. I will prove myself worthy of my position. Why, Ignatius, your desire is most commendable. But please do not forget, a ruler should never bow to their attendants, or some might see that as a show of weakness. Tell me about yourself and House Drivestem. It would be my pleasure to enlighten you. My house is the oldest and most respected on Dargonus. My ancestors walked side by side with yours for many generations as they cared for this world's welfare. Our duty is to supervise the governing bodies within the systems subservient to you, and we are responsible for the Protectorate's logistics and economic stability. As for me personally, I am a humble servant of the Emperor and a loyal subject of the Rogue Trader, and, to my great pleasure, I had the honor of calling myself Lady Theodora's close friend. At Urben's last words, Abelard lets out a sound that could be interpreted as either a snort or a cough. Urben gives him a look, which Abelard dismisses with an expression of utter nonchalance. What exactly do the Dargonus nobility expect from me in light of the loss of routes and communications with other worlds? We are all troubled by the fate of the agri-world Janus that supplied Dargonus and other planets with foodstuff. Empty stomachs can drive even the mildest rabble to revolt. Furthermore, House Gaprak is perturbed by the loss of communication with the industrial world Kiava Gamma, which is in their charge. But if you wish to know my opinion, the world that deserves your attention the most is the penal world Fabius 6, one of the key mining suppliers in your protectorate. Such an intriguing concern for the Vehebius 6 outpost. Doesn't your house happen to own the extraction stations there? Drivestem's beady eyes widen in fear. Your lordship, I beg of you, do not interpret my words as an attempt to influence your decision in any way. You see, without Vebios 6, the manufactorums on your worlds will need to make haste to find new suppliers elsewhere and arrange for new shipments. And in these troubling times, they run the risk of delays and other tragic mishaps. My only concern is for the prosperity of the Von Valentius dynasty. I've already visited the agri-world Janus. Governor Viat found herself facing a number of problems in my absence. Truly, the Viat line is one of the oldest in the Von Valentius protectorate. If the inheritor of such well-respected blood could not handle whatever had befallen her, then the situation must have been extraordinarily indeed. Vistenza succumbed to worshipping the ruinous powers and was executed. Drivestem pales in terror. It is clear from the unseemly grimace on his aristocratic countenance that his fear is not feigned. Ruinous powers? That's horrifying news. I commend your resolve and unwavering severity. Death to the enemies of humanity. That does it for the planets and trade routes. What else? Xenos, your lordship. I don't rightly know where to begin. He rubs the bridge of his nose warily. Otherworldly beasts are not an uncommon sight in the Coronis expanse. They have been a menace to the worlds this side of the Maw for decades. But now those abominations are on a rampage. They show no sign of fear as they attack ships, either damaging them to the point where they become unfit for transport duty or outright gutting them. Only you have the power to stop this madness. We are in the process of restoring the astropathic choir on Dargonus. Luckily, we were forced to slay only some of the deranged psychers, although those that remain are yet unable to transmit messages. I hope Master Scalander will keep his word and offer you his support in the war against the Xenos. According to his reports, the region of Vehebos 6 has been of particular concern in the last few cycles, which is all the more reason to discover the colony's fate as soon as possible. Now to issues on a smaller scale. There is a certain... Just looking up and seeing those quests pop up. There is a certain degree of tension in the capital due to the unorthodox succession of the Sacred Warrant. Chances of uprisings are minimal, of course, and the spreading of rumors is nothing but a sign of weakness of mind and spirit. Nonetheless, I have prepared a list of minor houses that have demonstrated unseemly discomposure at your succession. What is to be done about them? Eliminate the most prominent malcontents quietly, but do not threaten entire families. Hopefully these steps will be enough to keep the rest from causing any more trouble. Once your lordship's wrath descends upon the guilty, have no doubt there won't be a soul on Dargonus willing to share their fate. And one last thing, your lordship. Your inauguration as bearer of the sacred warrant is but a matter of time, and I would like to inquire upon one crucial detail. I imagine you are intending to uphold the centuries-old tradition, bolstered by an equally long-lasting friendship, of being represented on Dargonus by one of the noble houses. I presume that, as before, this duty will be accorded to House Drivestem. One moment. Which houses can represent me at the ceremony? Any of the noble houses located on Dargonus. The Drivestem's family, which I lead. The Gaprax family, with long ties to the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Sauerbachs, known for their piety and diligence in service. Perhaps I should also mention the Wersians, who have some influence, but are not actually of noble origin. Any one of these houses would be honored to represent you at the ceremony. Your presumption is wrong. I will bestow this honor upon the Worsarians. Abelard turns to you and bows respectfully. Lord Captain, to accompany you at such a critical hour is the greatest honor for the Worsarian bloodline. Have no fear, we will not fail you. Drivestem tasses Abelard a look that lacks even the smallest shred of respect. Forgive my boldness, but I must remind you that the Worsarians, whose lineage traces back to a naval officer, are not of the Dargonus nobility. Such decisions may have adverse effects on your subjects' loyalty, your lordship. Drivestem's face breaks into a bitter smile. I shall immediately relay your commands, most gracious Rouge Trader. Thank you for your time. Would like to complete my inauguration as Rouge Trader as soon as possible. When is the ceremony? I'm afraid that until you deal with the pressing issues, the ceremony will have to be postponed. Many trade routes are still unavailable. The central worlds of the Von Valencia's protectorate are going through a crisis, and the warp disturbances, if void observers are to be believed, will prevent important guests from reaching the capital. That will be all, I take it? Thank you for your time, your lordship. Since duty calls, I shall take my lead. May the Emperor's grace be with you. All right. Let's check out our study. Oh, we got some loot over here. We got loot over here. We got loot everywhere. Got a door. Got another door. Multi-melta. Alright, so this door leads to this room. Let's check it out. Oh. It's a balcony, not a room. A sturdy but safe equipment with several bizarre mechanisms. Oh, that. The safe. Okay. An antique piece of furniture is obviously well cared for, but its surface is still covered with a lot of scuffs, scratches, and stains, traces of the previous rogue traders who sat at this.
Halt! I noticed something.
What did we notice? Loot. The cogitator is producing rhythmic sounds, among which a faint ringing stands out. The remains of a plaque can be seen in the frame. The last inscription is completely, so we can't read it.
We need to investigate.
Breeze catcher boots. Whenever the wearer moves through a cell occupied by an enemy, the wearer gains 15 dot. Yeah. So that leads back to there, it looks like. The faint mark of a polished mantelpiece, which was likely left by glass. Bed for the head of a Rogue Trader dynasty is befitting the status of the owner. That is a big honking bed. Bring your hand to the scan panel, and behind the book, you discover this door opened up. Assuming that's... Mysterious item undoubtedly crafted by inhuman hands. Mysterious Xeno artifact rests in a stasis field. The shelves of the library are laden with dusty tomes. Your eyes linger on the works of several administratum adepts and the memoirs of unfamiliar explorers of distant death worlds. Mysterious item, undoubtedly on human hands. That one stayed for a long time. Mysterious item. Plasma Shaper gloves. Tech bonus, and that is a Pascal item if ever I have seen one. Whenever the wearer hits an ally with an area attack, the wearer gains 1 stack of Zealot. The wearer deals 10% damage with their area attack. That's also looks like a Pascal item if I've ever seen one. An empty glass and 3 unopened bottles of wine sit on a finely crafted table made from a dark marbled wood. Strange objects lie in the glass of the display case. A complete absence of explanatory labels makes it impossible to learn what was here. The rare books arrayed on the shelves are lavish, almost pretentious. Bindings seem illogical. Dust has accumulated on the raised oil smears. If servants ever access this room, they did do so very rarely. Sit down. The secret room is remarkably quiet and almost homely. Perhaps your predecessor used it when she sought complete solitude. Listening to the muted melody coming from the Vox speaker, you can easily imagine Theodora reading a book with a glass of expensive wine in hand. Vid screen of data slates before you describes the name of several Vox symphonies. You recognize the melody that is playing right now. It is the first of 36 parts of the Symphony of Honor and Duty. Choose the piece, the Symphony in Honor of Duty Part 2. The music in the speakers momentarily grows louder, filling the entire room, then goes back to normal, seemingly without any change. Have a glass of wine. 3 sealed bottles sit on this dirty-looking low table. They are labeled Grandmaster's Blood, Boon of Terra, and Flame of Purity. Boon of Terra. Full-bodied wine is sickly sweet, and you feel a warm sluggishness wash over your body. A siren shatters the tranquil atmosphere in the room. Alarms have been sounded. We chose poorly. In the name of the Rouge Trader of House von Valencia, whoever has entered his lordship's chambers will be eliminated. Your lordship, deepest apologies for the intrusion. Do you require any assistance? But on second thought, we'd better just leave you in peace. We can sit down again, but we'll do that next time. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. As always, like, subscribe, and comment. I've been Sir Joseph. You guys are amazing. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you later.